Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Adventures with Pictures. Myself, Preston, and I got my best friend Ryan.
Hey, hey.
And today we have a lovely travel couple in the building, and we have Isaac and Shilpa.
Yes. Hi, guys.
Hey guys, thank you for having us.
Oh yeah, no problem, no problem. Like I said, I'm a big fan of your guys' all your content, and I just fell in love with it, and I had to follow immediately. And I normally don't do stuff like that, but like I said, your page and all your content was so engaging. And like I said, I love when people show like a genuine emotion, like it doesn't look like it was forced or stuff like that. So it just really like you guys are in love and traveling. I love that, because I'm married. I've been married for 15 years, and my wife and we love to travel as well. So that's why I said I just fell in love with your guys' page.
Thank you so
That's
much.
a huge compliment to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So my first question is, one thing that jumped out to me after looking at your Instagram page was it said you sold everything to travel the world. And I just kind of want just tell me just a little bit more about that, because I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, so we started doing that pretty much when, I don't know if I should say it, but lockdown started.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when we started to really get serious about saving and saving. So we lived below our means and we focused on that.
Yeah, so we are both terrible with money, like terrible with money before we met each other. And then all of a sudden we kind of realized the importance of being able to save our money. Why are we spending on all these like ridiculous things that we don't need? And having this idea of, okay, we could literally only bring one suitcase with us each, and we have to get rid of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've always loved travel. It's a huge passion of mine, and I've gotten Isaac to do more of it since we've been together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was just like, okay, this is kind of crazy, but I've always had this dream of just traveling. And I literally was like, okay, what do you think about selling everything and just traveling the world? And he's like, okay. I come up with the crazy ideas and he says, okay.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I mean, just to be like, okay,
Yeah. I mean, I feel like for me as a man, like we're newly married. It's my job to kind of support my wife's dreams and to figure out, how to implement that, how to actually make that plan into a reality. So for me, we both had stable jobs before, and I was in the military and I was traveling everywhere. And so luckily I met her because then she sparked that travel bug in me. I was over in Korea for a year in South Korea. And she was like, you're in Korea, like you're in Asia. Like, why aren't you traveling? And so then she started to come on board and she hopped over to Korea, and then we went to the Philippines and Vietnam, all over the place. Yeah. So that's what really started it going for me.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. So you said you was in the military. Which branch?
Yeah, the Air Force.
Okay, the Air Force. Okay. So I'm assuming were you stationed in like Osan or something, or
Kunsan.
Busan? Yeah, boo.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you Air Force?
No, I was Army, but I was stationed in Osan. I was lucky to get an Air Force station.
You were very lucky, yes.
Osan was nice. It's closer to Seoul. Oh my gosh, where he was not fun.
Yeah. I was up in, I guess, Area 3 at the time. I guess, I don't know if it changed the areas, whatever, but yeah, I had a wonderful time. And just thank you for your service.
Oh, yes, and thank you for yours. Ryan, are you also a veteran?
No, I'm not a veteran, but I'm definitely supportive of the troops. And the closest I came to it, I used to be a civilian employee for the Department of the Army, and so I really appreciated that experience. So that was really fun for me.
That's awesome. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Really
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It takes a lot to even support, the military and be a part of the federal government or any way that you do it, contracting, whatever it is, like you're still a part of the family.
Thank you very much, man. That's the first time I ever looked at it that way. It was almost like you know, for lack of a better word, it did almost feel like living a dream, because my father is former military, my uncles, you know, they're all former Army, and you know, and just to, at least I was in some type of role where I could be supportive in that way, because you know, you know, I didn't necessarily join, but it was definitely fun. And I was in the public affairs office, so we did a lot of, you know, supporting different outreaching events with the community, and you know, saw stuff like that. So that was really fun.
That'd be fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But I do have a question. You know, I really, you know, you know, as President mentioned, we both are very supportive of your page and things of that nature. One of my questions is, I want to get it up front instead of on the back end. Where can people find, you know, your content? Like, you know, what's your Instagram? Do you have like a YouTube? Just where can people check you out?
Yeah, so Instagram is our main thing. We love the way you can really connect with people on there. So it's at Isaac_Shilpa. And then we're also on TikTok. But so we're doing both right now. Everyone's like, get on YouTube, get on YouTube. We haven't done it yet. It's just, I don't know, it just seems like even more work to do. It's like, oh my God, we have so much going on right now. But I think it is it's on our list of things we want to do. We just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like I said, I just started doing this really, and it is a full-time job, and I already have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And it is very tough, and you know, it has a lot of pitfalls. So, I mean, if you ever have any questions, and I'm not an expert, but you know, the little stuff that I do know, if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and we try to answer any questions that you have, or put you in contact with somebody that might know, you know, something more than I know. So
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
thank you.
that's one of the things, like the reason why we kind of started this is that I just really want to make the world a small place and just, you know, just bring people together. And I think traveling is one of those ways, because you get to experience somebody else's culture. They can experience your culture. And, you know, you just like a meeting of the minds, you know, pretty much, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I would have never like just met you guys like this, you know, through social media, I'm able to meet you guys. I get to live your life through your pictures. So I just think it's all wonderful, you know, from my perspective.
Yeah,
100%.
and that's a beautiful way of putting it, making the world a much smaller, because,
place.
you know, this is the one planet we have. Like, it is a very small place, a very small world. We know people who know other people who are all the way across the world, but it doesn't have to seem like it's all the way across the world. You know, you could still connect with people through Zoom or through whatever.
Yeah,
and you
through
know,
social media.
there's always somebody that knows somebody else that you know that comes back around. So I love that. I love that aspect of building a small world. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's just very important to me. And like I said, I'd never been out the country until I went to the military. I mean, it was something I always wanted to do, but just never, you know, really made it a mission of mine. And then now I got the travel bug. Like, I didn't give up all my hobbies and all on, you know, traveling. And trying to get my wife on board to, I really want to live abroad. You know, I don't care what country, but I just want to live overseas. And, you know, just, I guess, live over there for a while. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll happen in the next year or so.
We hope so
Yeah,
too.
we actually fell in love with South Africa. We're here right now, and we
feel the
absolutely
same
love it.
way.
Yeah.
Like we wish we could stay longer, but our visa is only like 90 days.
Yeah.
But like you said, travel is so rewarding. Like we feel the same way as you do. Like instead of buying the expensive bags or the clothes or whatever else we spend our money on, it's like I'd rather save my money to spend to travel, because you get so much out of it. It truly is life-changing.
It's like its own education. You know, I joined the military, and one of the reasons why I joined the military was not only to get educated, like have my GI Bill, but also to travel. It was its own like entity of education that I needed under my belt. And so I consulted a few people before I went into, or they consulted me before I went into the military. And I asked them, I was like, should I go to school full time or should I join the military? And they're like, well, if you're going to have your school paid for, you know, after you join the military, why not just travel? Like, why not just join the military, get out of California? Because that's where I'm from originally. And most of my family stays in California, and none of them have left. My mom only left recently, and now she lives in Hawaii. But even then, that's only 4-hour plane ride away. You know, it's not out of the country, or, you know, she hasn't visited Japan. She doesn't even have her passport. And a lot of Americans don't have their passport.
Which blows my mind.
It's so crazy because we have the ability to go so many places, and yeah, we're just not taking that opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I found out over the last, you know, year or so, that I did take stuff for granted, because even with traveling as much as I was doing, I still was like, oh, I'll just go in a couple of months. Oh, I'll just go next, you know. And now it's like, damn, wish I would have went. You know, it's like, so this has taught me, hey, you know, just do it today. You know, if you're gonna do something, just do it, plan it or whatever, and just make it a, you know, one of your priorities. You know, that's how I'm going for 2021. Like, soon as stuff start opening up and, you know, things of that nature, I am booking flights. I am, you know, doing everything. Like, I already got one trip already paid for, actually, to Mexico. I'm taking my wife to Tulum, Mexico for her birthday in June. And I'm hoping that I'm able to go, you know, so because the trip is already paid for. So, so one of my questions would be like, what are some of the pitfalls you have came across, you know, doing all this, you know, all through your journeys and stuff like that?
Pitfalls, okay. So some of the things, okay, so for example, we spent a little bit extra at this place called Cappadocia, Turkey. I'm sure you've seen it. It's like literally Instagram. Everyone goes there just for Instagram photos of like the hot air balloon ride.
I want to go so bad.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, but it's also very touristy.
Yes. So I think one of the biggest things is there's an Instagram reality, there's a social media reality, and then there's the actual reality of going there that we've seen. You know, like all these places get marketed so well, and they get get beautiful pictures, all this other stuff, but there's an actual reality to the places that you go to. There might be, you know, trash everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, Cappadocia is nice. The only thing is, and that's the thing, even if it is so touristy, tourists still love it, right? So that's why they keep coming back. But I think what we really appreciate as a couple who is traveling is the authenticity of the people, the culture, all of that, right? And I feel when a place is so touristy, because it's a very small area that you go visit. So we splurged a little bit to stay at a nicer, one of the like popular hotels there. And it just wasn't that great of experience, because Turkey in general is fairly affordable, like pretty cheap. You can find like a really nice hotel for under $100 or under like maybe around $50, even less. Like for a $50 hotel, you're gonna get somewhere really nice typically. Okay. But then somewhere like Cappadocia, where we're like, okay, let's stay at the place where it's super popular on Instagram. We paid, I don't even know, maybe like close to $100 per night or something. So for Turkey, you're splurging. And we got there and we just thought everything was overpriced. We had issues with Wi-Fi. Our room was really freezing, like it was cold. Like you just kind of deal with like things like that. So it's just the part of the travel experience, but you don't know until you get there. So that's the thing about us. I feel when I look at other people's Instagrams and they just show these beautiful, like amazing photos, which we have them too, but I want to tell the story behind it. Like, this is what it took to get it, or this is our experience here. Because I think it's unfair to show this unrealistic version when people get there like, oh my God, this is so not the case. Like another thing, like in Turkey we went to, it's this place called Pamukkale. So it has like travertine water pools, and we get there, like, so when you see the Instagram photos, you're like, oh my God, this place is amazing. It's so gorgeous. You could swim in these pools. All of them, and they're not even pools. Like they come up to your ankles. It's just like, and the only it's supposed to be thermal pool, so hot pool. So, but the only heated water is this little stream, and you're not even supposed to like actually sit in the stream. But I did. I was like, we're gonna somehow pretend like we swam in this thing. But and so that's it. I wish people would share more of the truth behind these Instagram locations instead of like, oh my God, look at this magical place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's been a really big pitfall. Some of the places too, you don't get the same service as you do in America, of course. Like we have a little bit better quality or
efficient.
So that's something you got to keep in mind as well.
And yeah, I think being flexible and adaptable, like that just
Culturally too, because sometimes there's that cultural difference as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got you. Well, that does make sense, and that's like you said. I think you hit it right on the head about how there's social media reality and then there's actual reality. So thank you for sharing that, because I would have never, crossed my mind. It would have never crossed my mind to think that sometimes. Like sometimes you see someone's Instagram and you're like, man, that place is dope. That's where I need to go. And then you get there and you realize, dang, how come this person didn't mention so and so?
Exactly.
Actually, and Shilpa, you said something earlier that really, hit home for me. Like you said, you instead of buying the material things, you rather just save up the money and build on the experiences, the memories and things of that nature. That's how I look at it. Like I'm the same way. I don't need any Jordans. I don't need the latest fancy car. Let me just pay for experiences and build memories with my family, loved ones, and so forth. And since you both have started, this wonderful path together, how many countries have you, traveled to together? Therefore continue to build these experiences.
Yeah, so I've traveled a lot on my own, but together, because we've only been together 2.5 years. So we've only been together 2.5 years. So together, I think we did.
And those 2.5, like 2 of those years, I was in the military, so I wasn't really allowed to go anywhere without permission.
Yeah.
So, and we just started this whole journey of like us selling everything in the last 3 months.
So five. It's been 5 together.
5 together.
And then she's done a whole bunch of traveling.
I've personally been to over 50 countries alone. And then we've been to 5 together.
So we're also on this journey, we're trying to hit new places so that she can get some new ones under her belt.
My goal.
I like that. I do the same thing. I'd be like, man, I need some new countries.
Exactly.
That's what it's about. Like if you're a traveler, you like, hey, I gotta have these numbers. I gotta hit you with you hit them with these numbers. So I completely understand. I tell my wife all the time, because she'd be like, well, why don't you go back to that place that you love? I got a place. So,
yeah, so it's interesting because he hasn't been to a lot, so I'm like, I want him to be able to experience it too. So it's an interesting to go back with someone that you really care about, and it's a different experience. So that's cool. But I'm also like, I want to hit 60 this year, so let's make that happen.
like, hey, but I need you to catch up now. I need you to. That's awesome though. So that kind of brings to, what are your favorite destinations so far?
Okay, dude.
She has her own list.
I have my own list.
Okay, let's get the list first.
Honestly, Cape Town, South Africa has to be one of my favorite places in the whole wide world.
Really?
Yes, it's so it's modern where you don't feel like it's too far from American culture, but it is still different enough. But you have the food scene is amazing. Like you have different cultures here, so the food is amazing.
Everyone's active. There's something to do. There's either going to the gym, going on hikes, going, I don't know, surfing or whatever you want to do. Everyone is active here.
Yeah. So, and there's a lot to do and a lot of free activities, which we love because we're on a budget. Lots of hiking, and it's so cool because literally you can drive 5 minutes, get to a mountain, drive 5 minutes in a different direction, get to a beach. So you have the coast and you have the mountains and you have the great weather. Pretty much, I know because I've heard it's rainy and kind of cold in the winter here, but the summer is amazing. They don't really get snow or anything like that, so it's still not terrible, but and it's affordable for us as Americans, because I think it's right now it's $1 US to like 15 Rand, which is their currency here. So it's really good for us for affordability, which is nice.
Okay. So do you share her favorite destination?
Yeah, honestly, Cape Town has been amazing. It's absolutely blown me away. I love it. And I haven't been as many places as her, but this reminds me a lot of home. like a lot of California. It has a lot of California weather, a lot of California things. Like they have like vineyards on the other side of the hill that you can just go to, and that's where the more expensive like housing and stuff like that is. But that's what you kind of see in California. You have like Napa Valley,
Yeah.
so it's so close. It's
Yeah, it's
literally
not even that far away, which is
stone throw
nice.
away.
Yeah.
Then you have all these different outdoor activities. You have mountain biking, rock climbing, all the things that I used to love doing before I started to get into traveling because we needed to save money. But
Okay.
man, if you wanted to come here for extreme sports, you could go diving with a shark if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I want
there's
to
some,
do that. Actually, that's one of my bucket lists. But yeah, I do want to.
yes,
Come here and do it.
yeah. But they have safaris, shark diving,
Yeah.
paragliding, skydiving, everything here. It's amazing.
And the history is just really cool to see how the mixture of all the cultures. So it's a really, really cool place. Another place I'd have to say, which is a popular one for everyone, is Bali. I've been there a ton of times, but once again, it's affordable. And there's a lot to do there. And there's also a huge expat population there because of it is affordable, and it's like the trendy place for remote workers to be because I don't know, there's just already like a huge Australian population and stuff there.
Oh, okay.
So it's a really cool place. The people are really kind. The food's really good. So Bali is another one. Yeah. I love a lot of European countries too, but honestly, the last few years we've been traveling Asia, and I think Asia's just really awesome. I love traveling through Asia right now. So our
Okay.
goal is to get back there eventually. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay, nice,
Yeah.
nice. Well, being that you all are currently Cape Town, South Africa. Well, just a side note. When my wife and I travel, my wife is she's a foodie, but at the same time she's she's gluten free. She's allergic to gluten, so we try to definitely make sure that we can find something that's going to be suitable for the both of us, things of that nature. So hypothetically speaking, let's say my wife and I go to Cape Town. Do you have any favorite, foods or restaurants that you all have experienced since you've been there?
Yeah. So that you mentioned gluten free. So I haven't really. I don't always stick to it, but I need to, but I don't. But I'm supposed to be gluten-free and dairy-free as well, and some other things too. But the nice part is they actually do have a ton of restaurants that cater to that, which is awesome. Another reason why we love it here.
Yes, in Cape Town and in Bali, both.
And yeah, both Bali.
A lot of
Okay.
vegan, a lot of gluten-free, health mindset type of people.
Yeah, so that's why it was hard for us because we were in Turkey for about 4 weeks or a little bit longer than 4 weeks, and we love the food, but we got sick of the food really quickly too. So if you're gluten free, you're gonna struggle a little bit because I get really bad gut pain if I eat a lot of gluten or if I eat cheese. They love their bread and they love their cheese and they love like everything
Yes.
gluten-free people cannot be eating. So it was really hard for me. So but I still ate it because it was good, and then you don't have many options.
That's what you had to do.
Yeah, so that was hard. So if your wife probably would not want to stay there for 4 weeks.
Gotcha. Good to know.
Cape Town, she will love.
Yes.
Yes,
Cool.
she will have options. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So like my next question is, so what are some of your guys' like do's and don'ts like when you guys are traveling?
Okay, do's and don'ts. That's a good question.
Don't leave your bags unattended.
There you go.
What have we been?
Do ask questions.
Yes.
Like ask people.
Yes.
Ask locals. Ask around. People are usually genuinely kind to foreigners, and they want to help you, right?
Yeah.
So ask questions, ask directions, whatever you need to do in order to get to a place.
Yeah, I think that's such a big do is like make conversation with people. One of the things like we walked into a restaurant just to look at the menu or whatever, and we had someone just be like, hey, the food's really good here, you should sit down and eat. And like they were already eating, their customers, and then we did, and we started chatting, and like being brave brave enough, which is, it really shouldn't be considered brave, but just having a conversation with a stranger. Because now we've hung out with them a handful of times and had really great memories. And they were here in Cape Town a little bit longer than us, so they showed us around because of it too. So another thing we had happen was someone contacted us on Instagram and was like, oh my God, you guys seem like a really cool couple. Let's hang out. And now like we're hanging out every weekend with this girl and like she's really cool. And once again, showing us around. Yeah. So that's a huge deal, like talk to people.
Yes, on social media, you know, in real life, whatever it is, put yourself out there because people really do want to connect with you.
Yeah. And so some of the ways that we've also like looked up spots, if you're into like taking pictures or something, is like look on Instagram, see like all the hot spots of like what kind of images can you get at a certain location, things like that.
Do your research. Yeah. That's for sure. And then don't always take the first price of things. Like always get a couple of different prices from different people, and then eventually you'll get down to the lowest price. So like some of these places, if you're trying to get like a tourist experience, there'll be a lot of different places that'll offer you different prices, and they'll range, especially if they know where you're from too. They know you're American. They'll charge really expensive prices.
Try to highball you, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, dude, just because we're American doesn't mean we're rich. I'm actually not rich at all. So that's actually a really good thing, because we've walked into some places and so like, for example, we want to join a gym while we're here because we want to try to get healthy. So the first question they asked us, I was like, okay, so how much is it per month? He's like, where are you from? That was the first. Why does it matter where I'm from? Like, just tell me the price. Yeah. So he literally was charging us $100 a month for a gym, which is more than US prices. Exactly. So I'm just like, no, thank you, sir. But like, so you have to kind of play it smart, like maybe make the conversation more about them instead of like, where are we from? You know, before you, even if you go to a shop, when you're trying to like buy something where you might be able to bargain, don't tell them where you're from. Like ask them a question about themselves instead of answering right away, I'm from the US, because they hear the US and they think you're rich. So jack up the price. Yeah.
Jeez, automatically think you rich. That's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, you know, that's been very, very informative for me. Like, I can't even think of any other questions right now, but I definitely appreciate the experience.
Like,
I would say you be safe. Honestly, always keep an eye out. I mean, I'm so strict on security and making sure that, you know, me and my wife are both staying safe. We're not in bad neighborhoods or anything like that, or, you know, getting involved in anything we shouldn't. So that's my biggest thing is safety and security. You know, I'm always making sure that my money is somewhere that I know it's at. Nobody's going to pickpocket me or anything like that either.
Yeah, so we even, I don't know if you guys do this when you guys travel, but the last few trips that we've taken, for him, we bought like a belt strap that you can wear underneath your shirt. Yeah. So you can keep your money there, just because, you know, especially now with what's happening in the world, people are desperate. So crime, pickpocketing might be worse than it was before.
When we've heard some pretty bad stories, but when we were in Vietnam, we were trying to take a selfie. And somebody on a scooter like tried to grab her phone out of her hand.
Yes.
Yeah. So luckily it fell on the floor, but you know, stuff like that does happen. So you have to be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah. So especially when that's one thing, after that experience, I'm like so scared of just like blah, 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 like pay attention, you know, especially when out and about, don't just have your phone out like that, especially on a street or on a road. We saw it happening in Turkey too, actually. This guy was chasing after someone else on a motorbike, and that's because they just robbed him and drove away. So you have to be careful about what you're pulling out of your hands and where you're standing at the time. Like, are you in a covered area or like in a corner, or are you out on the street being careless, or not just that you're careless, you're just not thinking about all the things that could go wrong, you know? So be aware that these are possibilities, that this stuff can happen to you.
All right. So with that being said, especially being that safety is such a huge concern, when you guys do, you know, visit these countries and maybe you want to just go see your surroundings and stuff like that, do you So do you ever go off the beaten path, or do you try to stay in like crowded areas when you sightsee or travel and stuff like that?
It really depends. If we have like a vehicle or something, or even a driver, then we're more willing to go off the beaten path because we're with somebody who speaks the language. So if we get into anything, you know, they've got it. And if we have a car, we have the security of just jumping in the car and, you know, bolting out of there. So we're not like gonna take the bus to somewhere and then just be dropped off in the middle of nowhere. We're not gonna take the train and do the same thing, right? Or walk there. So yeah, we're thinking of those things as well.
Yeah, and once again, when it comes to safety, when you make these friends here, even if the locals, or say you're living if you're staying in a hotel, ask the front desk about safety. So one of our friends was like, do not take the trains here because you will definitely get robbed or hurt or something. She's like, be careful here. But the buses are safe and Uber is great, like things like that. So ask people who live here, like ask them for their own tips, and they'll tell you where not to go. Like our friend took us to a certain area where it's pretty much, I guess, like what you compare it to in the US, like the projects. But maybe even where it just looked like I wouldn't be like, oh, let's take a day trip there. You know what I mean? So just be smart. But we drove by it. So like he said, if we're in a car, it's one thing. But if you're like trying to walk around as tourists, people know that you're a tourist. They will typically know that you're a tourist.
Yeah, like right away.
Yeah.
Right away, people will be like, "Oh, where are you from?" Like, "Oh, you're not from here."
Or as soon as they hear your voice or your accent, they'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good tips, like I said, because I did the same thing in Panama. They took us to like one of the worst neighborhoods in Panama City, and but we had a private driver, so I mean, we were just in the car or whatever the whole time. And I wanted to take a picture, but I didn't want to take a picture through the window. So I started rolling the window down just so I could take the picture without the glare. And I'm talking about the driver got so upset. He's like, "Turn it, roll that window out. What you doing?" And I'm like, "Hey, man." He's like, "You gonna get us killed out?" I was like, "Damn." I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry."
Sorry.
It was just so funny, man. It was just, I had my other friends with me. They just started laughing, and I'm like, "Man, it's not funny, man." I was scared, like. I was like, I don't want to put us in danger, man. I was like,
and you know, if the local is telling you that
you should be scared.
Right. But I was like, you took us over here. I didn't ask. Because I would never go on a tour and be like, "Hey, man, can you please take me to the world's most dangerous neighborhood?" Like, no, man, you took us over here because you were just like, "Hey, you guys want to see something?" I'm like, all right, man, I paid my $100 for this tour, so yes, I want to see what's going on. And it was hilarious. It was just so funny. And
see, stuff like that, like I feel like people really appreciate hearing stuff like that.
Like that's an awesome story.
An awesome story.
I have experienced a lot of things on these trips. And this is, like I said, just funny. I mean, I made it through. And luckily, I've never been robbed or anything like that. So I've actually, overall, I have nothing but great experiences, whether I was in Europe or Asia or Central America, South America. Like, I have nothing but great things to speak about any country I've been to. I've never had any really run-ins with like any law or anybody trying to, say rob me, pickpocket me, anything like that. I think I almost got pickpocketed in Paris, I think. Because like my wallet was in my back pocket, but I had like a little cut in my back pocket. So I was like, man, where the cut come from? But I'm sure if maybe I snagged it on something. I was like, man, I couldn't have snagged it on. So to this day, I'd be like, man, I wonder who tried to get me because I didn't feel it.
Yeah, I don't keep my wallet in my back pocket. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing about it is, I don't know. I was tripping. I don't know why I had it in my back pocket. Normally I wouldn't do that. But ever since then, I actually invested in a one of those protective book bags. So it has like the little TSA approved locks on it. It has the RFID sensor blocking things on there. And it also it's like cut proof. So you really can't just cut it. So I just invested in that. And that actually been a lifesaver, especially when I travel solo. I feel a little bit more comfortable if I have somebody with me because they can watch my six and be like, hey man, who this guy's walking up, kind of close. So, extra set of eyes is always better. So I normally do that. But if I'm by myself, you best believe I got that book bag with me, and I don't set it down. I don't play. I take it everywhere. So, and that's what I was going to ask. Just like another question would be, where do you guys prefer to stay? Like, just lodging, period. Are you more of like a hostel or a hotel type people, or?
Yeah, no, we're definitely not hostile people.
We definitely like to drink with our pinkies up.
Oh my God, I wish I could afford that lifestyle, but no, the hostel situation. So, okay, when I was 27 or something, I stayed at a hostel because I'd never had before, and it was in Scotland. So that one was nice because it was an older crowd. It was very clean. It was great. Then I went to a city in Hungary, and I got there and I was like, oh, it was super cheap, whatever. Like, it's supposed to be a fun hostel. I got there. It was filthy. It was disgusting. It was like 10 people in one room. People were having sex like right in front of me. It was just like, I'm too old for this. Like, I'm not 18 anymore, And me being 33 now, I'm way over that.
Yeah. Like I said, I've never stayed in a hostel before. I just say, hey, I will splurge the extra $50. Like, like, you know what I'm saying? So I know I have a lot of friends that don't mind hostels, which, hey, by all means, if that's what your thing is, that's your thing. But I'm like, I'm not about to sleep in a room, one, with strangers. Two, it's not a guarantee that you know my language or I know your language.
Yeah.
And then it's like, like I said, I have my book bag, I got all my stuff, and I'm just paranoid. Now I heard they got like lockers and stuff, but I'm like, man, I'm not doing all that. I like to get in my hotel room, open my luggage, might hang stuff up. I like to be comfortable. I need to see my items, I like to, be comfortable. I want to act like I'm at home. If I'm walking around my underwear, I'm gonna be in my underwear. I don't want to be like, how you say you saw people having sex and be like, hey, can y'all keep it down there? I'm trying to sleep, So it's like, I don't want to have to deal with that. So,
And I don't like the whole shared bathroom thing.
Oh yeah, that's the.
Oh yeah, come on, man. I'm not sure. See, that's the thing. Like, being in the military, I've shared bathrooms. I have.
I want to do that.
I did that. I had that experience. I don't need that experience again. So yeah, like I told myself I would try hostels just to say
you did it.
Done it. But I have to be choosy on where I do it. Because like you said, you had a great experience in Scotland, not so much in Hungary. And I only been to Hungary once. I went to Budapest. And I can tell that's a city that I probably wouldn't do a hostel in.
That was where I did. Don't do it.
I was like, this looks a little sketchy. I was kind of sketchy. And like, we caught a train. This is when I was living in Germany, when I was stationed in Germany. And we caught a train from Germany all the way to Hungary. And we just got off at the train station. Nobody really speaking English. We tried to catch a cab. They looking at us like, you're not getting in this cab. And then we found somebody, because I was like, hey, how do you get to the hotel? And then they were just like, very broken English, walk 17 blocks that way and just make a right. I'm like, what kind of directions is that? Like, and then so we just took our luggage and we just started walking, and we just literally just trial and error. And then we just happened to find a hotel after we got lost and asking people and all that. And it come to find out the hotel was brand new. It was only been open like one day. That's why nobody knew exactly what the hotel was. But yeah, it was I was like, oh man, this is so sketchy. We're gonna get robbed. Like, we're literally walking through the streets with luggage.
Yeah. So like now we try to, what we try to do is, okay, we'll check prices on Airbnb, and then we'll check prices for hotels, like on tripadvisor.com. We'll compare prices or whatever. So if an Airbnb that's not super nice or not in like a great area, it's going to be super pricey, because some cities will do that where Airbnbs are pricey, but then you can get a hotel for a lot cheaper.
Really?
So,
or even rent a place for a lot cheaper. The place that we're in now and the place that we were at when we were in Airbnb, they're totally different prices. It's a lot cheaper now.
So what we did which is a tip for you guys. If you guys do like extended stay travels, like we decide to stay here for a few months, like take our whole time for a visa. What we should have done was just maybe book an Airbnb for a few days, maybe like 4 days, just so we can see the surroundings, because our Airbnb sucked. There was no AC. It was dirty. Like,
And
it
it's
just,
midsummer too. So no
Oh.
AC
Yeah.
in South Africa. Midsummer.
Yeah.
Like that should be illegal.
I know.
That's a hot box.
So we were miserable and I booked it for 2.5 weeks because we didn't know like how long we'd stay here. So I was like, okay, let's just book it for 2.5 weeks. Yeah, no. And the people wrote reviews on this place and said it was good. No, like don't listen to reviews.
Like, nice.
Yeah, so what we did was we got here, then we're like, oh my God, let's start looking for a new place. So by the time the 2.5 weeks are up, we have a place to go to. And then we literally just walked around, found apartments that were doing short-term stays and that are furnished. So we ended up finding one that's brand new. We're the first people to stay here, and it was cheaper per month than the place we were staying at, which and it's brand new.
AC.
Yeah, we got the AC.
That was the first thing.
Right. He's like, oh.
Like, lesson learned. So honestly, just do your research and look at Airbnb, look at TripAdvisor, and read a ton of reviews before you make a decision.
I would say another thing too is also look up how to get to and from the airport.
Yeah.
And your location, because sometimes the hotels will charge you more, and it's a lot cheaper to just take a taxi.
Or like
So,
an Uber.
or an Uber or something like that. Yeah. So once again, it goes back to don't always take the first price. Like do your research that way.
Yeah.
There was
that's a good idea. Like I said, I usually I usually get the hotel to do it just because I get lazy. I just be like, well,
and they know where they're going and
know where they're going. I mean, if I'm staying in a more well-known hotel, like, Marriott, Hilton, or whatever, where I know cab drivers would know how to get there, because there's been times like I went to Egypt and I stayed at this one hotel near the pyramids. I'm talking about nobody knew how to get to this place. I mean, they stopped at like 3 different hotels. Like, this your hotel? Shit, you tell me. I was like, I'm not from here, So I mean, it was crazy. So yeah, we finally made it, but I mean, it was like trial and error. And I don't know if you ever been to Egypt. The sun start going down. I'm looking at my wife like, you got your running shoes on? Because I'm like, hey, I hate to leave you, but you should. Like,
only the strong survive. I'm
at this point, But yeah, like, so one of my last questions is, if you wasn't traveling, what would you guys be doing?
I would be contracting most likely for the military.
Okay.
Getting some good money there. Contract work,
Yeah, the contractor life is great.
So I was doing weddings, like hair and makeup for weddings. I was doing that, and then I was also an occupational therapist, but I hated the job that I was doing, so I really didn't want to do that any longer, and I don't want to any longer. So we're actually in the process of trying to figure out what else we want to do with our lives, and we took this journey to really figure out. I don't know if you guys are spiritual, but we are, and we really felt like God was calling us to do this. And not only are we going to have these experiences, we're also going to have a more direct vision of what our path is supposed to be, or a clearer vision of what our path is supposed to be. So our hope is that along the way, with the people we meet, with the experiences we have, with the challenges we come about, it'll give us an idea or a spark of what we're meant to be doing for the next few years, or what we desire to do, what we want to put our time and effort into. Because our dream is to work for ourselves. We don't want to work for anyone else. Like we've done it. He's done it. I mean, the military is really hard because they literally tell you everything that you're supposed to do with your life. So we don't want to do that anymore. So one of the many reasons was to really find our freedom and find what we want to focus on. Yeah,
we're pretty entrepreneurial mindsets. So we want to try to connect with businesses, try to learn what they've learned and use that to our advantage.
Yeah, currently right now we've been getting into photography and videography, and the idea is like we like to work with smaller brands and smaller businesses to help with their social media. Just because we're really proud of ourselves. In the last few months, we've been able to grow our page a lot, and we're learning a lot along the way.
See, you guys have a lot of followers.
Yes, it would be amazing to really help smaller brands with that, because I naturally have a passion for that. I see that when I meet someone who has a small business, I'm like, oh my God, you need to do this and this and this. Like, it's just so fun for me. So I'm taking that as a sign of maybe that's something there. So we'll see, but God willing, along the way, we'll figure out how to make more money, because the money will run out.
Right.
That brings me to like my last question. It's like a two-part question, but so the first part of the question is, how do you guys find your destinations? Like, as far as, is it just you guys are just hanging out in South Africa and just next week be like, man, let's go over to Kenya right quick, or but it's like, or did you guys like in the beginning say, hey, these 30 countries, this is what we're doing the next 5 years?
Yeah.
Is it something like that?
So we had a plan. We had everything actually all planned out. It was like half a year planned out. And then, of course, all of that just went straight into the trash. And so we had to start from scratch. So I got out of the military and we went to Hawaii. And then Shilpa looked up and they're like, oh, they're letting people into Turkey. And so we were like, okay, guess we're going to Turkey. And we just bought a ticket and we took off. And then when we were in Turkey, we were like, okay, like we've been here long enough. We've experienced it. Where are we going to go next? And we found really cheap flights to South Africa and we booked it. She always wanted to go. I wanted to go. And we want to do a safari too. So it's kind of like our life goals intermixed with whatever like God's bringing us.
Yeah.
And,
that's awesome.
So right now,
fresh. Yeah, I like
yeah. So I feel like that was another thing that we're meant to learn, because I'm like, I want to plan, right? So I planned out 6 months of our travel, but God's like, haha, no. So now I'm learning to just take it one destination at a time, because now we are forced to. There are so many countries that are closed off, they won't even let us in. So right now we have to see what's open, where they're going to let us in, and what's affordable. What can we actually, how much is a flight there, right? So
like before coming to South Africa, we had it was either going to be South Africa or it was going to be like Dubai
or Egypt. Yeah.
So we were picking between those, and things just kind of went the way they were meant to go, and eventually we went to South Africa. We asked people, we had conversations, and a lot of people were like, go to South Africa. And so we just took that as a sign.
Yeah, that's on my next to-do list, go to South Africa. I heard so many great things about South Africa. I just haven't, like, only country I've been to in Africa was Egypt, and I spent like 2 weeks there. Like I said, I had an amazing time. That's like actually my number one country I've ever been to. So that was like excellent. So the second part of that question was, how long do you guys plan on being, full-time travelers?
Till the money runs out. We have enough to, like, we know what our cutoff is until we officially have to go back and, get jobs or whatever. But we've saved up enough in order for us to travel for a year. Comfortably, mildly comfortably. And so, we're going to go until we figure out how to increase the money coming in, or we just go back home, we do it again. We'll just we'll just work hard for 3 to 6 months. We'll get a whole bunch of money and we'll come back.
Right on the road. And that is awesome. Like I said,
I love it.
I've like I said, since I've been doing this for like the last year or so, and I just been like reading and seeing like so many couples or even solo, travelers do the same thing you did. Like, hey, I'm tired of the rat race. I saved some money up for X amount of years, months, or whatever, and I'm just hitting, the travel scene. And I just be like, man. And I ain't gonna lie to you. About 4 months ago, I was at work and I was at my computer, and I was just looking around, and my supervisor was getting on my nerves, and I was just like, I don't think I need this. And I was like, I'm like, you're talking to me all types of wrong, and I already don't want to be here. And I'm like, and I literally went home that night, and I told my wife, I was like, hey, I'm about to do a budget and see can I follow and stick to it, where I can maybe quit my job and just travel full time. And that's why I'm hoping between the podcast and me trying to be like a travel blogger and all this stuff, that hopefully I can make some like just a little bit of cash off of it,
Yes,
and I
definitely.
can just, hey babe, hey, let's go travel. Now my
Yeah.
wife, on the other hand, she's like, hell no.
She's like,
I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully I can prove to her through hard work that maybe I can be like you guys and travel full time, because my wife and I we thought about when we retire to travel the world for like a year. Like we just head west and just wherever we want to go in that direction, we just go, stay as long as we want, move on. Just same thing like pretty much how you guys are doing it, until we just come right back around and have fun like that. That's why I'm traveling so much right now, so I can like just knock out the countries that I can just pick and choose later on in life. Like, okay, I really don't need to go over here anymore. I just want to visit here or something like that. So
yeah,
Definitely.
I think one thing we would have done before, hindsight's always 2020. So if we would have been better with our money up front while I was in the military, got some good investments, houses or whatever, got people to rent those out, and then created more of like a cash flow for us every single month coming in.
That would have been a blessing.
That would have been a blessing, because then we would have been, we would have been good off of just $1,000 coming in, every single month would have been amazing. So hindsight, we would have done it that way. But then, we would have missed out on the opportunity of going right out of the military. We would have had to wait a lot longer. We want kids eventually in the future, and
I'm older, so
so
so I think the timing was right, and we'll figure out the rest of the stuff as it all unfolds. But I was going to say, I don't know if you guys want to have a rough estimate of, just in case like, some of your listeners would be curious about how much we're spending a month or what our goal. Yeah. So our budget right now is $3,000 per month for everything, accommodations, food, everything. I had read recently another couple had a budget of $1,500 a month, and that just seems impossible to me, because especially if you're a couple and you want to have, like, you don't want to do the hostel living. Maybe if you're like a solo traveler, or if you're a couple that doesn't mind like
staying in a lot.
I mean, you guys don't seem like backpackers. Like,
that's not
yeah. Put on a mule or something like, no, man, I don't want no mules.
All right.
So I think 1,500 as a backpacker.
That's a different life right there.
Yeah, but 3,000 I think is realistic for a couple, and we try our best to stick to it. But we did go over last month, but I think we'll be good for this month that we did 3,000, and the first month we did a little under 3,000. So
it pretty much will probably even out towards the end or whatever. I'm just so happy for you guys that you guys just took that leap of faith.
Thank you so much.
It really warms my heart to see, like I said, people going out there and really living their dreams. Because I was telling my wife, I said, babe, I really do feel like people fall into a job, whether they like it or not, and you just work that job until retire.
Until you retire.
Like you're not happy. And then I'm also like getting to the point now that life is so short, and really over the last year you can see that you got to experience stuff, and that's why I like to create these memories, create this dialogue with people and things of that nature. Because like I say, man, like I'm truly envious of you guys being able to travel and experience what you guys are experiencing. I can only imagine what you guys got planned in the future, what you guys going to experience, good and bad, because that's just the nature of the beast. But I hope everything really do work out for you guys.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
That does mean a lot. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say we hope the best for you guys too.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It takes a lot of faith. It really does. It takes a lot of faith.
It really do.
And a lot of work. I don't think people realize how much work it takes to to create something for yourself. So even with this podcast, I was doing a podcast last year as well.
Okay.
Oh my God, guys, this takes so much work. So much. I hated the editing part of it. I love the conversation. I love meeting random people. I loved reaching out and be like, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? pay to the editing. And it takes a lot of time and work. And so I want to commend you guys for following like an intuition about something. Like you had an idea and you acted on it. A lot of people wouldn't do that. And I think that's the difference between being successful and not, like actually acting on it, actually making it a reality for yourself.
Yeah, that's
thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, like Ryan and I, we both started our own business, our own small business last year. And, you know, we just living our dream, you know, our little, you know, I don't say a hobby because it's more than a hobby at this point.
Of course,
but,
yeah.
You know, started it and I was riding Ryan's back. I'm like, Ryan, did you do it? Did you do it? Hey, you know, because like I said, that's my best friend. I want to, you know, I think he has talent. Like he's a photographer. That's what he do. You know, he does all the editing and everything like that. So like I'm the traveler, he's the editor. So that's how we, you know, combine our forces, as I say. But that's wonderful. So you know, going towards the wrapping up of this episode, we always like to end our episode with rapid fire questions. Okay. Both of you guys can answer, you know. So it's only 10 questions. Okay. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
All right, whatever your first thought is, you just say A or B or whatever. Okay. All right. First question: luxury or budget?
Luxury.
Oh, okay. Well,
they like this, all right?
That's a team right there.
That's it. All right. Question 2: train or plane?
Plane.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. 2 for 2.
2 for 2?
This one: hostel or hotel?
Hotel.
Hotel.
That's 3 for 3.
Okay. City life or beach?
Got him.
Got him,
Coach.
I think my gut was city life.
I said beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cape Town has both.
Yeah,
So
Cape Town has
both.
Okay. All right. So how about desert or tropical?
Tropical.
Okay. A cold destination or hot destination?
Hot.
Yeah.
Hot. Okay. Off the beaten path or organized excursion?
Off the beaten
path.
path.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys are on it. Photos or video?
Photos.
Hey, you know what? You guys must.
Actually, I like videos. I'll say video.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, how about solo or group travel?
Group. I like group.
I said
She's
solo.
thinking.
I used to love solo travel. I've done it a ton in Europe too. Like you had mentioned, you did too. Because I think I love the freedom of it. Like you can go on your own schedule and make your own plans. I think
Be your own person.
Yeah.
So
Okay. The last question is okay. So this is kind of a weird question, but fast food or dining in, like a little fancy dinner?
Dining in,
yeah. For sure.
Dining in. Okay. Hey, you guys are wonderful.
You know, I had 2 different answers, if I'm not mistaken. I like it.
Yeah. You guys actually made it happen. That's good. So before we wrap this up, just one more time, just let everybody know, you know, how can they, you know, reach out to you guys?
Yes, connect with us on Instagram. I feel that's the best way. So it's at Isaac_Shilpa, SHILPA. And then we're on TikTok too, but I really do feel Instagram is the best way to connect with us. We show our day-to-day on there, like on our stories, and then kind of post cool photos and videos and just kind of share more about ourselves and our journey.
Okay. And like I said, I want to say, you know, thank you again, you know, for coming on, and especially, you know, just taking this time out of your day to be on our podcast. And like I said, just thank you. Just words can't describe it.
Thank you so much.
You guys are awesome. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, this was so much fun.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Signing off. Peace.
Signing off.